would please allow me to introduce our guests, and if you would please hold your applause until all have been introduced. School Committee Chairwoman, Mrs. Christine Donabedian. School Committee Vice Chair, Mrs. Mary Ann Roll. School Committee Clerk, Mr. John Carroll. School Committee Woman, Mrs. Tracy Kavanaugh. School Committeeman, Mr. John LaFleur. School Committee Woman, Mrs. Stacy Rapko Bruckner. School Committee Woman, Mrs. Julie Zito. Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Georgia Fortunato. School Business Administrator, Mrs. Lori Miller. Director of Student Services, Mrs. Mary Ann Struble. Director of Non-Instructional Operations, Mr. Armin Malazzo. Director of Human Resources, Mr. Eric Banville. Assistant Principal, Mr. Mark Cobb. Assistant Principal, Dr. Kimberly La Liberty. Administrative Liaison, Mrs. Charlotte Tavares. Our Director of Athletics, Mr. Brian Feinberg. Principal of Lincoln Middle School, Mrs. Heidi Godowski. Principal of Northern Elementary, Mr. Alex Simonello. He's in the audience. Assistant Principal of Lincoln Middle School, Mrs. Barbara Marr. State Senator, the Honorable Edward O'Neill. State Representative, the Honorable Gregory Costantino. State Representative, the Honorable Mia Ackerman. Town Administrator, Mr. T. Joseph Almond. Town Council President, Mr. Keith Maxu. Town Council Vice President, Mr. James Jans. Town Councilman, Mr. Bruce Onyi. Town Councilman, Mr. Kenneth Pichette. Town Councilman, Mr. Arthur Russo. Our Budget Board Chairman, Mr. Carl Brunetti. Budget Board Member, Mr. Michael Babbitt. Budget Board Member, Mr. Paul Deutsch. Budget Board Member, Mrs. Rhonda Lacombe. Budget Board Member, Mr. William McManus. Our Project Manager for PAR Engineering, Mr. Andrew Shagnon. Project Manager for DeGregorio Construction, Mr. Arthur Scothen. Arthur Eddy, Principal of Birchwood Design Group. DeGregorio Construction Superintendent, Mr. Ryan Bruliette. Our Director of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Paul Prakniak. President of Youth Football, Mr. Guy Williams. President of Lincoln Youth Cheerleading, Mrs. Judy Westcott. And a very special introduction, Mrs. Bonnie Ferguson Smith, daughter of Willard Ferguson. I'd also like to take this time to recognize Mr. John Mena and Ms. Sue Carlson, our cross-country and track and field coaches, for their help in planning to design this facility. Now a round of applause for everyone. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce you to our Superintendent of Schools, who will bring greetings from the Lincoln School Department, Mrs. Fortunato.
Good evening, honored guests, administrators, faculty, staff, parents, students, and student athletes. I'm delighted to stand before you as we prepare for the grand opening of the new Ferguson Field. It was 2 years ago when members of the school committee and town administrator Alman first began discussing the renovations of Ferguson Field. Without their vision, none of this would be possible. With the support of the budget board and the community, we now have a new field, bleachers, and a new press box. This is something to be really excited about. But we know that this didn't happen by itself. I would like to give special thanks and acknowledgments to the following individuals who oversaw this project from start to finish. I have lost track of the number of early Friday morning meetings that was dedicated to making sure that everything went smoothly. Our athletic director, Brian Feinberg, who was instrumental in ensuring that the details like the scoreboard, sound system, and the Rhode Island interscholastic league requirements were adhered to. Thank you, Mr. Feinberg. Armin Milazzo, our Director of Non-Instructional Operations. He was the general contractor on the job, who was a stickler with the contractors because he wanted the students of Lincoln to get the best field for the best price. Every T was crossed and every I was dotted. Thank you, Mr. Milazzo. Our school business administrator, Lori Miller, was ever mindful of money, including securing the $130,000 reimbursement from the Rhode Island Department of Education. I was told that she was the de facto leader of the project from start to finish. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. And finally, school committee member John LaFleur was the sometimes quiet voice representing the school committee. His steadfast leadership and insightful questions helped to guide the project to this amazing outcome. Thank you, Mr. LaFleur. I would be remiss not to thank DeGregorio Construction and Parr Engineering for their collaboration and hard work in making this truly a field of dreams. I am looking forward to many amazing athletic contests on this field. Go Lady Lions! Good luck!
Thank you, Mrs. Fortunato. And now to bring greetings from the Lincoln School Committee is the chairwoman, Mrs. Christine Donabedian.
Thank you, Ms. And I understand we've already had one win on the field. Our girls field hockey team was successful this afternoon. And right after this ceremony, the girls soccer team will be playing. So good luck, ladies, and go Lincoln.
Thank you, Mrs. Donabedian. And now with remarks on behalf of the town of Lincoln is the administrator, Mr. T. Joseph Almond.
Thank you, Kevin. How's everybody doing? How do you like your new field? Just so you can have a little perspective, the project you see in front of you cost $2 million. And while the superintendent and the principal did do a lot of heavy lifting, I still have to write the check. So, but I do have the easy job. So I want to thank them very much, all their staff, and Mrs. Miller, as was mentioned, for their oversight and management of this project, along with Parr Engineering and DeGregorio Construction. It was a job extremely well done, and they've given us a state-of-the-art athletic complex. So thank you. You heard Mr. Principal McNamara introduce Connie Ferguson, the daughter of, I'll refer to him as Willie Ferguson because I was here then, but that's who this field was dedicated to in 1972. And why I bring that up is Mr. Ferguson, many coaches, many teachers, many volunteers have worked for so long to build these programs up. And they've been big advocates for our kids for years and years. I know Guy Williams is behind me. The high school coaches are here for all sports. And there's endless hours. And so we're hoping that this is just a product of their labor. So thank you to them. Another important thing when you look at this complex is this just part of our commitment to you, the people of Lincoln. It's our intention, and it's been our intention, to continue to enhance the quality of life throughout town and in the schools. And that's been illustrated by so many recent projects that are improving our community. And it's our goal to be the first choice of any family that wants to locate in New England to make this their home. We want to be able to offer them, and we do offer them, a safe and stable community, and a community that will provide their children so many excellent educational and recreational opportunities. So in that, I'd like to thank our town council and our members of our budget board for their unwavering support and commitment to ensure that we continue to reinvest in the future of our community for both you today and those that choose to someday make this town their home. In the past years, we've invested now over $20 million in various projects throughout town and our schools. And I would like to just have a quick thank you to our corporate neighbors at Twin River that have made a great deal of our capital funding possible. As Chairwoman Donna All right. As Chairwoman Donna Bedian pointed out, this is really thanks to all of you. You sitting up there, parents, and our taxpayers that have provided their approval and support year after year for projects to benefit our kids and our entire community. And lastly, to all you athletes in the stands and next to me out here, this is your field. This is for you. So all we want in return is to do your very best, have fun, and enjoy your new field.
Thank you, Administrator Alman. As principal, I really do speak for the entire Lincoln High School community in thanking the taxpayers for such a beautiful facility. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and students, we are truly grateful. I cannot thank the members of the committee that spent many hours ensuring that this facility would be first class. It makes us proud to honor Mr. Ferguson, a longtime educator, a Navy veteran, with such an outstanding facility. To the students and coaches who work so hard, know that all of this has been done in your name. And as we prepare for the ribbon cutting, would you please turn your attention to a collection of college fight songs performed by the Lincoln High School Band.
The field looks absolutely gorgeous. I think it's a great addition to the school. Words can't describe how good this came out and how great it looks.
Yep. Well, the best part of the new field is the new stands that the band came to the stands. Come on. Yeah. That's the best part of the new field right there.
The field is really great. Gives us a lot of opportunities for great home games. The new seating arrangement's really nice, and the field looks fantastic. It's really good for the athletes.